Started?
Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, August something 20th. Good morning, Nancy. So happy to see you. And this is your Mind Body Soldier Tribe. I'm here with Jack. No, not Jack, but forget it. I don't care who's here. The important people are here, except for Nancy. I care that you're here because I haven't seen you forever. Oh my gosh. And we are still reading the Just Enough Light for the Step I'm On. Yes, I am driving and talking because I have an amazing story, but I promise I will not take my eyes off the road for very long, right? Unless I'm at a stop sign. So today's topic is about, what is it? Releasing your dreams?
Surrendering your dreams.
Surrendering your dreams. So I have a great story for you. Here is my disclaimer. This is a story about someone else who, if for some reason, anybody ever watches this video and it gets out and back to the person, my disclaimer is I may not have it 100% accurate, but I'd say it's pretty close. So many, many, many years ago, I moved to Oklahoma City and lived next to a wonderful couple. Let me know if I freeze because this story is important. And wonderful couple, and got to know them very well. They were a generation above myself and my husband, and the man was a family practice doctor, and he did not become a doctor until later in life, like age 35. And he had told us that if we ever needed anything for our kids, don't go to the emergency room. This was back before you had urgent cares, so going to the emergency room was a real pain in the butt. Not like it's any better now, but anyway, so it was like, oh, okay, appreciate that. And of course you don't want to burden people and things like that. Well, it ended up that my daughter did have an infection, and of course it was the middle of the night or whatever, so I was like, no, she needs something now. I don't want to go to the emergency room. So my husband goes next door, he gets the antibiotic, blah blah blah, or prescription for antibiotic. About 2 days later, I go over there to thank them. He's not home. So I thank his wife, and, we got to talking a lot and this and that. And she was trained as a classical pianist and was a music instructor at one of the local University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma University or whatever the hell, Oklahoma State University. So she told me a lot, doctor, 35 and this and that. So skip ahead to the next year, and I go over there one day to say hello, and she introduces me to her son. Her son's name is, I don't know, Michael, Brett, James, something like that. And so, and I kept thinking, man, and she tells me that, yes, her son is a celebrity. He's a songwriter, and she gets to go, like, when they have like the music awards and things like that, she gets to go like to LA or wherever they have them. And he writes for a lot of the big names in Hollywood. He wrote Jesus Take the Wheel for Carrie Underwood. He writes lots of songs for Faith Hill and Tim McGraw and Kenny Chesney, When the Sun Goes Down, and all kinds of things like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? She says, yeah. And they were very spiritual too, in church every Sunday, Wednesday, things like that. And she says, yeah, that's cool. She says, but the interesting part is that he wanted to be a doctor like his dad. And because he was so just enamored by what his dad did, the life choices, the path that he followed for God, and becoming a doctor at 35, like, who goes to med school at 35 and starts over, right? So after, as he went through college, he then enrolled in med school. Well, he was doing fine. He's super smart, but med school just wasn't the thing. He'd always had this passion for music. So he dropped out of med school, moved to Nashville, and tried to start songwriting. And he didn't have any luck. Meanwhile, he had gotten married, started having kids. He couldn't support them. So he stopped. He quit music, and he went back to med school. He only had like a year to finish or something like that. He goes back to med school, and he gets in, he's doing it, and he's like, no, can't do it. This is not for me. This is not the path I was supposed to be on. This is not what God meant for me. And he went back to songwriting, and it was right when he went back to songwriting that Faith Hill picked up his first song, or somebody like that, and everything took off from that. And so anytime anybody talks about giving up your dream, it reminds me of that. And his dream was to be like his dad, you know, and this and that. And so even though he didn't end up in medicine, he was like his dad, because his dad had a very good career and gave it up because his calling was to be in medicine. Isn't that cool? So I don't ever play into the empathy or sympathy of, I've got to give up my dream of this because of this. A hard ass. Anyway, so Michelle, on to you, girlfriend.
Oh, Linda, you know I love that story. Linda has told me this story before, because going through myself being a doctor and going through all that program, it's hard. It's really hard to even fathom having a different path than that, because you pour your heart and your soul and your blood and your tears into becoming a doctor and going through the rigorous program and all the exams that it takes. And it's a lot. It's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of time and investment. And so for me, I very much enjoy taking care of people as a chiropractor, and I find a lot of joy and fulfillment in that, because I am very good at what I do as a chiropractor. But I also have for a while just had this like sense that I have a even bigger purpose than that. And so I still don't really know exactly what that means, but I'm just waiting for God to illuminate the next steps for me and how he wants to use me fully in, you know, just my future path as a woman, and hopefully, you know, as a wife and a mother, and what my role as a doctor will look like, and how I'll utilize that knowledge and experience in my future, whether it's hands-on or in a different way. So this story hits really close to home, and Linda has shared that with me in the past, just to give me a lot of hope and perspective and clarity, and just peace in this kind of transitional, like, wilderness process, like we talked about yesterday. So I absolutely love hearing her tell this story every single time. I'm trying to think. Oh, I think this chapter of just the topic of surrendering your dreams, it's important to think about and be intentional about in your life, because we're always going to go through experiences like that where we can feel kind of stuck or frustrated in that transitional process, in that wilderness. And sometimes that can be a lesson, you know, that God is taking us through. Sometimes it can be a sign for us that we're trying to hold on so tightly to something, one of our own dreams for our own purpose, that isn't meant to be for us. And so taking time, I think, on a regular basis in our lives to just check in with that and see where we are, and if you need to journal about it, and just kind of keep a tally and keep track of that for yourself, I think is really important, because otherwise we can get trapped into one pathway and not really see other options or other avenues that we have the doors open to, that will really add a lot of value and fulfillment in our lives. And if we aren't even open to other possibilities, you know, you never know, later on in life, you might have a realization like, oh, this is really not where I'm supposed to be. Like, why did I spend all of this time and money and effort and stress and doing all these other things in life when I'm really not supposed to be on this path? So, Tracy, do you have, or Nancy, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I do. So I read this chapter last night, and I'm reading, and yes, it made me think, like, you're absolutely right, Michelle. Like, it can be a scary thing to think that something that you've always wanted for yourself, always dreamed for yourself, that you are just like release that and just give it up to God and just say, take it away if it's not supposed to be in my path, if it's not supposed to be where I'm at. It can be a scary thing, but I thought of it as a more of a comforting thing. Like, he may take away, but he's going to replace it with something. Like, he's going to show you where you should be. But I will say specifically, really quickly, like, my thing that stuck out mostly was the story she has spoke about before she married her husband. Stormie married her husband. She talks about how she had that conversation with God to say, if I'm not supposed to be in this relationship, release this relationship from me and show me where I should be. And it made me think of my own relationship. And I used to say, when I would talk about my story, how I met my husband, about how it was just fate. It was fate that brought me together, because I met him at a bar and we connected, and I had this feeling, but I left the bar, and a whole month later, I see him again at this exact same bar at that time. I have another conversation. Again, we connect. And again, I say, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. That sort of thing, right? If I'm supposed to be in this man's life, I'll be in his life. And it was God the whole time. Not fate, not coincidence. It was God bringing him back to me. And then in the moment, so then it made me think about, I get asked all the time, oh my gosh, like, I don't know how you did what you did when your husband had his stroke 5 years ago. Like, how did you know, like, we weren't married at the time, we were engaged. And there was no doubt in my mind. I know that. And I explained that, like, there was no doubt in my mind if I should go or if I should stay. I knew that I was going to be there no matter what. And it clicked last night when I read it. I was like, oh my God, I had no doubt, because God made sure that he was supposed to be the relationship and the man in my life years before. That's why I had no doubt, because I had that conversation knowingly or unknowingly at the time. If he's supposed to be in my life, keep him in my life. And if he's not, then release him from me. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was like the best moment last night when I was reading that, on the eve of our anniversary, nonetheless, where it was like, oh my goodness, it was such a beautiful way to just understand it from the proper perspective, instead of just like nonchalantly thinking it's fate. It's not fate, it's God. God made sure that this was the relationship, my only relationship that I would ever have in my life, like, that he would for sure be in my life forever. It was really, really cool. It was awesome to read that last night. I just want to share that.
I love that, Tracy. Yeah, there's definitely, it's like thinking back on different moments or experiences in our lives can be so eye-opening, of like, oh, like, that was the reason for all of this. Or like, that's
Right.
why this person was in my life, or put in my life, and they still are, or they were in my life just for that season of time. I think back on a lot of situations like that in different friendships, relationships, whatever it may be. But there's always those kind of teaching moments or things that we need to have in our life with who we are in that moment. But it's so cool to have those, like, realizations and kind of connect all of those dots for yourself.
Just like understand it in a different way. And I know she used that example in the same way as a dream. Like, when you can just fully trust God and his plan and just say, just release it from me if it's not supposed to be a part of my plan. If it's not the dream that I'm supposed to have, if this is not the way I'm supposed to go, release that from me then, and do not let that be a part of my life. Like, to just fully trust that in the same way like you would a relationship, because it is so scary. Like, especially if you're in a comfort situation in your life. If it's comfortable, you get comfortable, right? With life, you get comfortable with the dream. It's because it's all you know, and it's all you've done. It's just the same with a relationship. They're all you know. They're all you've ever been with. You know who they are, and you're comfortable. But are they supposed to be who you're supposed to be with? Is that the dream that you're really supposed to be on, and the path you're supposed to be on? Or is it just because that's what you think that you should do? Or if that's who you think you should be with? Like, when you really look at it that way, it's like, well, that's not scary. That's actually wonderful. Like, I don't want to waste the rest of my life on something that's not my true calling, or I don't want to, not waste, actually that's not a very nice word, but you know what I mean. I don't want to use any more of my time up if I'm not going on the path that I'm supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, Michelle, when you talk about, chiropractic school, it's the same with myself. Like, my career working as a registered technician, like, it's been a journey in a half. And when I look at what I had to go through to get to where I'm at, like, here was a lot of things. I mean, I'm not going to compare it to becoming a doctor, because it's not the same whatsoever, but the same sort of like rigorous, just, studying and testing and all of this. And I love helping people, and I love the healthcare profession, and I love that field. But you often wonder, like, I want God to show me what my bigger purpose is. Like, I want to be open to that. I don't want to be so closed-minded or closed off to say, like, no, it's okay, because this is what I know, and this is what I worked so hard for, so this is all I should be doing. Is being able to, like, open my heart to that, and like trusting God and letting him in to just show me where I truly should be, is, I don't know, it's kind of like a light feeling. It's not so heavy anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing. Nancy, do you have any experiences of surrendering your dreams, or ones where you wanted to hold on to them?
Oh, you know what? I haven't been thinking like this because you guys are reading a book right now, and I haven't been reading this book, obviously.
That's okay.
But I love listening to your guys' story. Tracy, I just saw your post, your anniversary post. Is it today?
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can probably, there's tons of stuff from like the past, and I think about like relationships and stuff, like old relationships that I've been in for sure, where I thought like I'm supposed to be with this guy and I'm not with him, or he doesn't like me or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, now like 5 years I've been married, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way that I was supposed to be with that guy. Like, I'm supposed to be with my husband right now for sure. So little things like that. And like, I don't know. Yeah. There's tons of things that just like things that happen in your past that pretty much prep you for where you are today. Like, there are so many things, like job losses, just like, yeah, really like painful sort of experiences. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think like I can probably name like 20 million that I have had in my life. But yeah, I don't know. I think I like the way you guys are thinking right now. It's making me kind of think about it. It definitely makes me feel more at ease at like where I am, because at home right now, like with twins and coaching, I always feel like I'm rushed. I always feel like I'm busy. I can't get enough hours in the day. And then sometimes I have to just sit back and think, okay, just chill out. Like, you don't need to do everything on your list today. And it's me that puts everything on my list. It's not anybody else, right? So yeah, it kind of puts things into perspective for sure.
Yeah. I don't know about you, Michelle, but it's been a lot about yesterday's topic was being in the wilderness and being able to understand why God's put you in the wilderness and on that path, and then knowing that, he's there to guide you through it. there's a purpose for it, and being present in that moment is something that I swear every chapter has stuck with me. But I mean, there's something about that though, that analogy of just like believing that he has put you on that path for a reason. So thinking of your past like pains and the past like struggles, like we think about how hard it was then, and we're through it, right? We're through it now, but there's likely more to come, right? There's going to be more pain in our future, and more struggle. And if we are trusting God and making sure that, we remind ourselves that, reach up, hold his hand, he'll get you through it. And just being present in like today, and not thinking about like, oh, well, what's to come, or what did I go through, and holding on to that and just being it just kind of like makes it less worrisome, I said, so to speak, right? Like less like heavy.
Yeah, it's easier to wrap your mind around and just like have some sense of peace in your day, knowing that it's like, okay, you have control over what you do today and just being present in the moment. It's way easier said than done.
Like, look at that. Like, look at that. Like, right there. Dance. Like, there you go.
Look at that smile.
Hello. Hi.
That's what it's all about.
He's been
If
waiting
you
for
don't make
attention.
someone's day, I don't know who will.
It's like these ladies are not paying attention to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like really taking in those moments where, you have these big goals, you're working toward things in coaching or other avenues of your life, and you do want to honor yourself in that, because you have the potential to grow and really harness who that person is and harness that potential. But you also have to take in that present moment. And it's like when you feel like Nancy was saying, like you need more time in the day, feel like you're going crazy all the time, like going around trying to get all these tasks done, but taking even just like a minute, switching the babes, taking a minute to just breathe and look at your babies and just like take in those beautiful little smiles. Like, oh, I can't wait for that someday for myself. But
I know, right?
For now, I just take other people's babies and take care of them temporarily.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
They're getting
you're making my whole day. Oh my gosh. Talk about filling your cup right there.
Right. Tracy and I are like, baby fever.
Oh my gosh. I always say when I see a baby or I see a smile like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, my uterus is throbbing. Oh my gosh. She's like, you girls are so silly. Oh yeah.
She's talking to you guys now.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. Oh my.
They are so different. It's actually quite amazing.
Isn't that cool? It's like with every child in general, but especially when you see it in the realm of having twins, you're like, wow, like every person truly is their own individual. Like no matter if they share some of their DNA or not.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, so cool.
Well, should we pray, Michelle?
Yes. I'm going to read the paragraph at the end of it.
Okay.
Real cool.
Ooh, I read this last night too, and I was like, I don't know if I can read it out loud, because then I actually am reading it and I'm praying it, right? I'm like, I don't know if I want to pray for this right now.
You're making me nervous. I haven't read it. Usually,
it's good.
I don't read the last paragraph part until we're on the call. So, okay. Lord, I release all my hopes and dreams to you this day. If there is anything that I am longing for that is not to be part of my life, I ask you to take away the desire for it, so that what should be in my life will be released to me. I realize how dangerous it is to make idols of my dreams, to try and force my life to be what I have envisioned for myself. I lift up to you all that I desire, and I declare this day that I desire you more. I want the desires of my heart to line up with the desires of your heart. As hard as it is for me to let go of the hopes and dreams I have for my life, I lay them all at your feet. I know that as I die to them, you will either bury them forever or resurrect them to life. I accept your decision and fully submit to it. Lead me in your path, Lord. I don't want to speak a vision of my own heart. You never said life would be easy. You said you would be with me. I now take each step with the light of your presence as my guide. Lord, I want to pray as I do every morning in Thanksgiving for blessing us with another day that we get to live and breathe and live up to the potential and grow into the people that you have planned for us to be. I ask continued prayers over my brother and his friend Angela and her family as they grieve the loss of her brother. I also pray for continued joy for my nephew Darren, who is in his first week of preschool and just loving it. I ask that you continue that passion for growth and knowledge and camaraderie in school. And I pray continuously for health for all of us, especially everyone on Mind Body Soldier, as we are navigating these crazy times, and especially as we are still in preparation for our retreat. I pray that you will work through that, that your will be done in that, and just have a guiding hand and a peaceful hand on all of us as we continue pursuing that retreat. I ask that you prepare my heart for whatever you have planned for me, and that you continue to grow and better my communication with Sean and our partnership, that we may have and continue to grow a strong foundation in that partnership, and as we grow closer and closer to you, Lord. Tracy, do you have anything to add?
Yes. All right. Dear Lord, just thank you once again for bringing us together this morning. As always, I am so grateful to be here with these ladies on these calls every morning. It just fills my cup, and it just really just brightens my day and fills my heart. So thank you again for another morning. I also want to just pray for a beautiful day for Darren and I, just to spend the day together, reminding ourselves just how grateful we are to just be in each other's lives and to have one another. And I thank you for putting us on this journey. As I said today, as I wrote my post, just thanking you for bringing us, or bringing our journey that we were on to a halt and redirecting it to the path that we should have been on. Even though we question and I doubt and I was furious with you, I just couldn't see the vision you had for us in the moment. And I'm seeing it now, and I understand what you have planned is bigger than what I could have even have dreamt of. So I, again, repeat Stormie's words in today's chapter is just help me just lay all my dreams at your feet and let the ones that you want to be in my life to become resurrected in my life. I want to send some extra prayers for my girlfriend. Again, her and her family who are struggling right now through this difficult time, the loss of their little girl, and just be with them, remind them that you are always there with them every single day, as it's still just as difficult as it was that the very first day. So just be with them. Also pray, as borders are now closed for another full month, if I am to be at that retreat, I pray that you bring me to that retreat with all of the women that I want to see so desperately and need in my life. Just, I pray that you make that happen, however it should happen. And I also want to just say, I want to say thank you for bringing Nancy on the call with her little babes, because it just fills my cup so much. So thank you. And Nancy, did you want to say anything? Do you want to pray for anything, or?
just going to say that I'm really thankful that I got to be on this call today because I miss you ladies so much. And you guys definitely have filled my cup this morning for sure. And thank you guys for being here.
Wonderful. All right. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All
Amen.
right. Join us. We are still continuing Just Enough Light for the Step I'm on. So loving this book, but I think we're about halfway through now. So we'll be on here on our calls 9:30 Eastern time, Monday through Saturday.
Yes.
Thanks for joining.